What's up, my fellow football fans? I want to talk about the upcoming game. We have a fantastic weekend ahead of us. We have the Copa America final on Saturday, but really, this video is about the big final of the European Championships. England versus Italy. The game is gonna take place right here behind me in Wembley. Obviously, this is not the real stadium, but I like to imagine that I'm gonna be able to attend. I'm not, but it's gonna be a fantastic occasion, and for all football lovers around the world, not just Europe. Everybody's excited. I'm sure every football fan is excited about this matchup between Italy and England. Let's look at the lineups real quick before I talk about anything else. I want to look at the lineups. Um, so I don't actually expect a lot of changes, especially, let's look at the lineup of Italy against Spain. I think we're going to see pretty much the same thing again. Donnarumma, Di Lorenzo, Bonucci, Chiellini, Emerson. Spinazzola is obviously not available anymore. And Emerson he didn't have a fantastic game against Spain, but he did a decent job. Barella, Jorginho, Verratti, I don't think there's any question here anymore. I mean, Verratti has pretty much asserted himself as a starter. We could see Locatelli come back, but I think he'll be on the bench. Chiesa, also not a question anymore. I mean, Berardi has been quite he hasn't been impressive so far. I mean, he was a starter at the beginning of the tournament, Berardi, and he's a fantastic player, but Chiesa is, has been much better, and I would say he's a much better player. He's been fantastic so far. Probably Italy's most impressive player so far. There are some other players that we could have said Spinazzola before the injury. Some people will even still say that Spinazzola was their best player throughout the tournament. Donnarumma has been this has been a real coming out party, I think, for Donnarumma. This is the post Buffon era, and I think Donnarumma will be a fantastic keeper for Italy for the next decade or so. He's still very young. I think he's 22. Jorginho has been very impressive. Verratti has been impressive. Insigne has had his moments, but really, I think Chiesa is the big one. Chiesa has been just magnificent. Insigne, I don't think there's any doubt there. And Immobile, I think there is a doubt there. I think Immobile has been terrible throughout the tournament. With Lazio, he's a proven goal scorer, and even with Italy at times, he's been pretty consistent. But so far, he hasn't shown up in the Euro Cup, and this is it almost has created like a Kane-like situation for England before Kane started scoring goals. He's certainly, if you look at his pedigree, he's certainly their biggest goal scorer, even with the national team. But the thing is, he's just not scoring goals. He's not looking good. But do you still keep him on for the final, even though he hasn't looked good so far, in the hopes that he will find his form? Now he only has one more game, the most important game, to prove that he is a great goal scorer. I think he'll probably still get the chance. And I think if he doesn't perform, like Mancini has done before, he'll bring in Belotti at some point during the game. So that's it for Italy. Very good team. We all know this team very well by now, and it's a good team. It's a solid team. It's not a team of superstars. England, though, it kind of is a team of superstars. Pickford, Walker, Stones, Maguire, Shaw, all very good defenders. I'm not crazy about Pickford, but he's been doing an okay job. Some people would even say a pretty good job in the European Championships. Phillips and Rice, they've proven to be a very good partnership in midfield. They've both benefited from Henderson's injury. I don't think Henderson will come in just for the final. I think Southgate will probably stick with those two. It's just too important a game to make such a drastic change. It could happen, but I think Phillips and Rice will almost certainly start. Mount and Saka, I do believe they will start, but there are other options out there. There's Foden, there's Sancho. I think we could still see a surprise. There's certainly Grealish that people have been clamoring for. Sterling, obviously his main man, is not going to go anywhere in the final. Kane, uh, don't even need to talk about Kane at this point. So he'll certainly start. Now we could see Grealish come in for Mount or Saka, Jadon Sancho, or oh, or yeah, I would say I don't think he's gonna put in Jadon Sancho. Maybe Foden, Grealish or Foden for Mount or Saka. Those would be the only changes that I think that he could go for Southgate. But I think this will probably be their starting lineup. I'm not going to say I'm almost certain, but I think it would be surprising if he didn't. So that's it for the lineups. Now, the strengths of England are that they're very solid. They have almost not conceded any goals so far. They've only conceded, in fact, one goal against Denmark, and that was a masterpiece by Damsgaard, that beautiful free kick. So actually, they've only conceded one goal from a free kick. They have fantastic talent. It's a very talented team. I wouldn't say it's 98 Brazil, or even France in 98, or the current France. Like, it's not a collection of superstars, but big stars. They have big stars. They have big talent from the Premier League. They have a lot of people on the bench that can come in. They have a lot of talent on the bench as well. They have a depth that Italy simply doesn't have. And obviously they play at home, and we saw against Denmark. I mean, I don't like that we're talking about this, but it's just a fact. It happened. The referee made a terrible decision that cost Denmark a place in the final, a potential place in the final. They probably would have gone on to play to the penalty kicks, and it would probably have been decided in the penalty kick. So it would be 50-50 for England and for Denmark. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. I'm glad that we're going to see England in the final because they're the better team. It's a more exciting game against Italy, but it's still, it left a bitter taste too, because it just wasn't really that fair. That wasn't a penalty. That was just an atrocious call by the referee, and particularly by VAR. But we've already talked about this. In any case, I don't think the referee the referee would have called that penalty had they not been playing at home in front of 50,000 or 60,000 people at Wembley. And I think that's going to be a big factor. Wembley, the crowd will be behind these players, the referee, potentially, the players will get a big boost from having had this extraordinary tournament, from playing at home. This is basically a momentous occasion for England. They haven't really had a chance like this since 1966. And a football-loving nation like England, where football is so important, I mean, these people will be heroes. These guys will become big heroes if they can get it done, and they will know this. The problem is that going to be too much pressure for a side that actually they don't have a whole lot of experience in these kinds of tournaments and these kinds of big occasions? Yes, they've played in the Premier League, but some of them in the Champions League, some of them have even won the Champions League, particularly the Chelsea players. But I mean, it's different. It's different, and we'll have to see if the pressure will get to them. Now, Italy, on the other hand, they have a fantastic record. If you count the qualifying games, they have won 16 games in 16 games played. 16 out of 16. Great performances in a lot of those games. Not so much in the last game against Spain, and really not so much against Belgium or even Austria before that. So the last three games weren't quite as impressive as the group games, where they were fantastic, or the qualifying games. But they do have a winning history, both in this championship and also in the qualifiers, but also Italy as a whole. And this is something where Italy really comes out on top. They have won a lot throughout their history. They have a winning mentality, a winning history. England has a history of disappointments. I think that can be a factor. And look, ultimately, this would be the first title for England since 1966. Only their second major title. They've never won the Euro Cup before. This would be the sixth major title for Italy. They've won the World Cup 4 times. They've won the Euro Cup 1 time before. I think that is the weight of history that it'll go either in one of two ways. It'll either motivate England to meet this occasion and make history, or it will be something that will be undermined and it will be too much pressure and Italy can play a little bit more freely. Also, there are much fewer expectations on Italy's side. They're not really expected. They are to some extent because they're Italy, but I don't think a lot of people would going into this tournament would have expected this Italy team that couldn't even, yes, this is a new team. Yes, Mancini came in. Yes, he did a great job. Yes, they had a good qualifying campaign, but essentially this is the same generation that couldn't qualify for the World Cup in 2018. So I think this is a big surprise that Italy has even made the final. England, on the other hand, everybody at this point is expecting to win it. They're the big favorites, I believe, or at least they should be. They have a much more talented team. They have only conceded 1 goal in 6 games so far. They've made it into the final. They're playing at home. I mean, everything is really in England's favorite here, and I think they will get it done. That's my prediction. I think they will get it done ultimately, but I think this will be a fantastic game between ultimately a very young, talented English side who hasn't really played fantastic football necessarily, unless perhaps against the Ukraine, but they've been very solid and they have found the goals because they have talent up front. And an Italy side who actually doesn't have a whole lot of talent. They have some of the best in the Serie A, but this is not the Serie A is not as powerful as it was in the past. They don't have a lot of superstars or any superstars for that matter, but they have quality players, especially the starting 11. And Mancini has done a fantastic job turning this team into a winning team, a team that uses possession to play good football. They attack well, they attack with intention, they get goals, they don't concede a lot of goals, and they win football matches. They are a nicer team to look at. They have a nicer style than England, but I think ultimately the talent of England and the fact that they're playing at home, I think those will be the big deciding factors. And I think England football is finally coming home. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you soon.